Hey, I found a co-host. The mysterious boy. This boy, the solo boy, the sole surviving boy. He's getting a little on the elderly side. And he's my sole surviving boy unless we get some new ones in a couple months. I'll see. A lady's trying to talk me into some new ones. But this is Casanova. Now, if I had named him, I would have named him Sly, Sylvester. Tweety Bird, because he's all white here. He has the tuxedo look. But the rescue people named him Casanova. So we have stuck with Casanova. So we are here today because it's become popular and it showed up today. So I figured as long as it showed up, I might as well just go ahead and share it with you. And I believe this is book 4. Don't quote me on it. I hate the fact that we're doing these out of order, but this is how it showed up. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. And, I will put the video on the end if I find it again. The Plains of the Passage. So, this is the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, K-R-I-S-T-I-N-A. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy schmancy stuff going on here. Just reading books and talking books. So anyways, I thought we'd read a page or two from the chapters. So what do you think? Should we read a page or two from the chapters? If anybody wants the whole book. Oh, this is a little better condition than some of the previous ones I've gotten. We have our map. And this is book 4. I think last week we did shelters. So this is, let's see. It is the 4th book. And it is a first edition. 1990. So here we are. Chapter 1. The woman caught a glimpse of movement through the dusty, hazy haze ahead and wondered if it was the wolf she had been seen lopping in front of them earlier. She glanced at her companion with a worried frown that looked for the wolf again, straining to see the blowing dust. "Jondalar, look!" she pointed. Toward her left, the vague outlines of several conical tents could just be seen through the dry, gritty wind. The wolf was stalking some two-legged creatures that had begun to materialize out of the dusty air, carrying spears aimed directly at them. "I think we've reached the river, but I don't think they're the only ones who wanted to camp here." "Ayla," the man said, pulling on the lead rein to halt his horse. The woman signaled her horse to stop by tightening a thigh muscle, exerting a subtle pressure that was so reflective that she didn't even think of it as controlling the animal. The woman signaled her. Oh, we did the. Ayla heard a menacing growl deep in the wolf's throat and saw that his posture had shifted from a defensive stance to an aggressive one. He was ready to attack. She whistled a sharp, distinctive sound that resembled a bird call, though not from a bird anyone ever heard. The wolf gave up his silent pursuit and bounded toward the woman astride. "Wolf, stay close," she said, signaling with her hand at the same time. The wolf trotted beside the dun yellow mare as the woman and man on horseback slowly approached the people standing between them and the tents. A gusty, fitful wind, holding the fine losses soil in suspension, swirled around them, obscuring their view of the spear holders. Ayla lifted her leg over and slid down from the horse's back. She knelt beside the wolf, put one arm around his back and the other across his chest to calm him and hold him back if necessary. She could feel the snarl rumbling in his throat and the eager tautness of his muscles ready to spring. She looked up at Jondalar. A light film of powdery dirt coated the shoulders and long flaxen hair of the tall man and the turned coat of his dark brown mount to the more common dun color of his sturdy breed. She and Winnie looked the same, though it was still early in the summer. The strong winds off the massive glacier to the north were already dissecting the steeps in the wide band south of the ice. She felt the wolf tense and strain against her arm. Then she saw someone new appear from behind the spear holders, dressed as a mammut might have dressed for an important ceremony, in a mask with oryx horns and in clothes painted and decorated with endemic symbols. The mammoth took a staff at them vigorously and shouted, "Go away, evil spirits, leave this place." Ayla thought it was a woman's voice shouting through the mask, but she wasn't sure. The words were spoken in Mamuni, though. The Mamuni dashed toward them, shaking the staff again, while Ayla held back the wolf. Then the costumed figure began chanting and dancing, shaking the staff and high-stepping toward them quickly, then back again as though trying to scare them off or drive them away, and succeeding at least in frightening the horses. She was surprised that Wolf was so ready to attack. Wolves seldom threatened people, but remembering behavior she had observed, she thought she understood. Ayla had often watched wolves when she was teaching herself to hunt, and she knew that they were affectionate and loyal to their own pack, but they were quick to drive strangers away from their territory, and they had known to kill other wolves to protect what they felt was theirs. To the tiny wolf pup she had found and brought back to the Mamuni Earth Lodge, the lion camp was his pack. Other people would be like strange wolves to him. He had growled at unknown humans who had come to visit when he had barely half grown. Now, in unfamiliar territory, perhaps the territory of another pack, it would be natural for him to feel defensive when he first became aware of strangers, especially hostile strangers with spears. Wouldn't you be afraid if people came at you with spears? Why had the people of this camp drawn spears? Ayla thought there was something familiar about the chant. Then she realized what it was. The words were in the sacred, archaic language that was understood only by the Manuni. Ayla didn't understand all of it. Mamuni had just begun to teach her the language before she left. But she did gather that the meaning of the loud chant was essentially the same as the words that had been shouted earlier. Though cast in somewhat more cajoling terms, it was an exhortation to the strange wolf and horse people spirits to go away and leave them alone, to go back to the spirit world where they belonged. Speaking in Zelzoni so the people from the camp wouldn't understand, Ayla told Jelena what the Mammut were saying. They think we're spirits? Of course. I should have known. They're afraid of us. That's why they're chanting us with the spears, Ayla. We may have this problem every time we meet people along the way. We are used to the animals now, but most people have never thought of horses or wolves as anything but food or pelts. The Mamuni at the summer meeting were upset in the beginning and took them a while to get used to the idea of having the horses and wolves around them. They never got over it, Ayla said. When I opened my eyes for the first time in that cave in your valley and saw you helping Winnie to give birth to Racer, I thought the lion had killed me and I was awakened in the spirit world, Jolinar said. Maybe I should get down too and show them that I am a man and not attached to Racer, like some kind of man-horse spirit. Jolinar dismounted, but he held onto the rope attached to the halter he had made. Racer was tossing his head and trying to back away from the dancing Mamuni, who was still shaking the staff and chanting loudly. Winnie was behind the kneeling woman with her head down, touching her. Ayla used neither ropes nor halters to guide the horse. She directed the horse entirely with the pressures of her leg and the movements of her body. Catching a few sounds of the strange language the spirit spoke, and seeing Jolinar dismount, the shaman chanted louder, pleading with the spirits to go away, promising them ceremonies, trying to placate them with offers of gifts. I think you should tell them who we are, Ayla said. The Mammut is getting upset. Jolinar held the rope close to the stallion's head. Racer was alarmed and trying to rear, and the Mammut with her staff and shouting didn't help. Go away, spirits! Go away, spirits! Go away, spirits! um... We are not spirits, Jolinar called out when the Mammut paused for breath. I am a visitor, a traveler on a journey, and she is Mammootty of the Mammoth Hearse. The people glanced at each other with questioning looks, and the Mammoth stopped shouting and dancing, but still shook the staff now and then while studying them. Maybe they were spirits who were playing tricks, but at least they had been made to speak in a language everyone could understand. Finally, the Mammoth spoke. "Why should we believe you? How do we know you are not trying to trick us? You say she is Mammoth Hearse, but where is her mark? She has no tattoo on her face." Ayla spoke up. "He didn't say I was Mahmoud. He said I was of the Mammoth Hearse. The old Mahmoud of the lion camp was teaching me before I left, but I am not fully trained." The Mahmoud conferred with a man and a woman that turned back. This one, nodding toward Jonah. "He says he is, as he says, a visitor. Though he speaks well enough, it is with the tones of a foreign tongue. You say you are Mahmoudi, yet something about the way you speak is not Mahmoudi." Jonah caught his breath and waited. Ayla did have an unusual quality to her speech. There were certain sounds she could not quite make, and the way she said them was curiously unique. It was perfectly clear what she meant, and not unpleasant. He rather liked it, but it was noticeable. "I was not born to Mahmoudi," Ayla says, still holding Wolf back through his growl had ceased. "I was adopted by the Mammoth Hearse by Mahmoudi himself." There was a flurry of conversation among the people and another private consultation between the Mammut, the woman, and the man. "If you are not of the spirit world, how do you control that wolf and horses that take you on their backs?" They had never seen people horseback ride before. It's not hard to do if you find them when they are young," Ayla says. "You make it sound so simple. There must be more to that." The woman couldn't fool a Mammut, who was also Mammoth Hearse. "I was there when she brought the wolf pup to the lodge," Jonah tried to explain. "He was so young that he was still nursing, and I was sure he would die. But she fed him cut up meat and broth, waking up in the middle of the night as you do with a baby. When he lived and started to grow, everyone was surprised, but that was only the beginning. Later she taught him to do what she wished, not to pass water or make messes inside the lodge, not to snap at the children when they hurt him. If I hadn't been there, I would not have believed a wolf could be taught so much or would understand so much. It is true, but must do more than find them young. She cared for him like a child. She is a mother to the animal. That's why he does what she wants. She's a mother to the wolf and to the horsies. She got some nice horsies. It's the same with the horses. You can teach them if you find them young and take care of them. It takes time and patience, but they will learn. Yes, they will. They will learn. I do not know about being a mother to animals, but I do know that Mammoth Hearse doesn't adopt strangers and make them Mamnudi. It's not an ordinary hearse. It is dedicated to those who serve the mother. People chose the Mammoth Hearse or are chosen. I have kin in the lion camp. Mahmoud is very old, perhaps the oldest man living. Why would he want to adopt anyone? I don't think Ludi would have allowed it. What you say is very difficult to believe. I don't know why we should. I don't know. What do you think? The people who had raised Ayla, known as Flatheads, but who called themselves Clan, communicated with depth and precision, though not primarily with words. Few people understood they had a language at all. Their ability to articulate was limited, and they were often rivaled as less than human, animals that could not talk. They used a language of gestures and signs, but it was no less complex. The relatively few words the clan spoke, which Jonah could hardly reproduce, just as she was not quite able to pronounce certain words in Zendoni and Mamudi, were made with a particular kind of vocalization, and they were usually used for emphasis or for names of popular things. Nuances and fine shades of meaning were indicated by bearing, posture, and facial aspects, which added depth and variety to the language, just as tones and inflections did in verbal language. But with such an overt means of communication, it was almost impossible to express an untruth without signaling the fact they could not lie. Eventually, she learned that certain small lies were often meant as courtesies, but it was when she gained an understanding of humor, which usually depended on saying one thing but meaning another, that she usually grasped the nature of spoken language and the people who used it. There was no one named Ludi in the lion camp when I was there, Ayla decided to be direct. Truly is the head woman, and her brother is Talut, is the head man. The woman nodded imperceptibly as Ayla went on. I know that a person is usually dedicated to the mammoth hearth, not adopted. Talut and Nezi were the ones who asked me. Talut even enlarged the earth lodge to make a special winter shelter for the horses. But the old Manute surprised everyone. During the ceremony, he adopted me. He said that I belonged to the mammoth hearth that I was born to. If you brought these horses with you to the lion camp, I can understand why the old Maimut say that, the man said. The woman looked at him with annoyance and said a few words under her breath. Then the three people spoke together again. The man had decided the strangers were probably people and not spirits playing a trick, or if they were, not harmful ones, but he did not believe they were exactly who they claimed to be. People come with horses and lions, and you don't believe that they're not spirits? They're flesh and blood. They're flesh and blood. They're flesh and blood. I don't know what's going on. The mammoth acceptance of them as human came only after apprehending another thought that would, to no one who understood such things, account for the extraordinary behavior of the animals much more plausible. She was sure the blonde woman was a powerful caller, and the old mammut must have known she was born with an uncanny control over animals. Perhaps the man was too. Later, when their camp arrived at the summer meeting, it would be interesting to talk to the lion camp, and the Manuti would be sure to have some thoughts about these two. It was easier to believe in magic than the preposterous notion that these animals could be domesticated. Yes, animals can be domesticated. And my co-hosts are all sound asleep. This place where the river join is a good place to camp. We have good hunting, and a herd of giant deer are coming this way. They should be here in a few days. We will not mind if you choose to camp nearby and join us in the hunt. We appreciate your offer, Jondalar said. We may camp nearby for the night, but we must be on our way in the morning. It was a guarded offer, not quite the welcoming that he had often received from strangers when he and his brother had traveled together on foot. The formal greeting given in the name of the mother offered them more than hospitality. It was considered an invitation to join them, to stay with them, and live with them for a time. The man's more limited invitation showed their uncertainty, but at least they weren't being threatened with spears anymore. Then, in the name of the mute, at least share an evening meal with us, and eat with us in the morning. That much welcome the headman could offer. Jonah sensed he would have liked to have offered more. In the name of the Great Mother, we would be happy to eat with you tonight, after we have set up our camp, but we must leave early. Where are you going in such a hurry? The directness that was typical of Manuti caught Jondalar by surprise, even after all the time he lived with them, especially when it came from a stranger. The headman's question would have been thought somewhat impolite among Jondalar's people, not a major indiscretion, just a sign of immaturity or a lack of appreciation for more subtle and direct speech of knowing adults. I am going home, and I am bringing this woman back with me. Why should a day or two make any difference? My home is far to the west. I've been gone 4 years, and it will take another year to get back, if we are lucky. There are some dangerous crossing rivers and ice along the way, and I don't want to reach them at the wrong season. West? It looks like you're traveling south. Yes, we are headed for the Barren Sea and the Great Mother River. We will follow her upstream. My cousin went west on a trading mission some years back. He said some people there live near a river they also call the Great Mother. He thought it was the same one. They traveled west from there. Depends on how far upstream you want to go. But there is a passage south of the Great Ice, but north of the mountains to the west. You might want your journey much shorter by going that way. He might. Talmud told me of the same northern route, but no one seems to be sure that it is the same river. If it is not, it could take longer trying to reach the right one. I came the southern way, and I know that route. Besides, I have king along the river people. My brother was mated to Shamud women, and I have lived with them. I would like to see them once more. It is not likely that I will see them again. We trade with the river people. Seems to me I did hear about some strangers a year ago living with that group that Manudi woman joined. It has two brothers. Now that I think about it, the Shamudi have different mating customs, but I recall she and her mate were going to be joining with another couple, some kind of adoption, I suppose. They sent word inviting any Mahmoudi relations who wanted to come. Several went, and one or two have gone back since. That was my brother Tholan, Jolinar says, pleased that the account tended to verify his story, although he could not say his brother's name without feeling pain. It was his matrimonial. He joined with Gemoni, and they became crossmates with Marquino and Tholi. Tholi was the one who taught me to speak Manudi. Tholi is a distant cousin of mine, and you are the brother of one of her maids? Thuri, this man is kin. I think we must welcome him. I am Rutan, headman of Falcon Camp. In the name of Mute, the Great Mother, you are welcome. The woman had no choice. She would not embarrass her brother by refusing to stand a welcome along with him, though she thought of a few choice things to say to him in private. I am Thuri, head woman of Falcon Camp. In the name of the Mother, you are welcome here. In summer, we are Feather Grass Camp. And there you have it. A little bit of the first chapter of the Plains of Passage. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want me to read more, let me know. I'm slowly collecting all the books and we'll see how it goes. But that was the reading of the Plains of Passage. You have a good day. Don't forget to check out If Thens on Fridays and Star Trek Next Generation recaps on Fridays and Flashback Mondays. And there's some shorts going on in the week. And there's all my book reviews. We're doing Catherine Coulter. We're doing Finola Buckley. There's a not Stephen King, James Patterson showing up every once in a while. I found a new couple of series I want to check into. They're really short, really small series right now. So we'll see what happens. Have a good one. Plan of the Cave Bear. The first one. The origins of Ayla. I wish you enjoyment in all of your readings, and I hope you have a good day. Have a good one, and stay tuned for the montage if I can find it. Fingers crossed. Have a good one.